Russia must answer for its nuclear threats.
They're closer to Russia, yeah, they're closer to Russia. It's a terrible situation.
Donald Trump made a decision that shocked the world. I'm Albina Pidhirnyak, want to tell you about the current news and important analytics. After announcing the deployment of nuclear submarines closer to the Russian borders, Donald Trump gave an interview to Newsweek. In this interview, Trump admitted that Putin's plans include taking over all of Ukraine. And Trump also spoke somewhat uncertainly about sanctions. He said that they would impose sanctions, but it is not known how much this would affect the Russian economy.
Worked out 3 different times, and maybe he wants to try and take the whole thing. I think it's going to be very hard for him. He's obviously a tough cookie, but so it hasn't changed in that way. But I'm surprised. We had numerous good conversations where we could have ended this thing. Yeah. And all of a sudden, bombs start flying.
I'll remind you that the day before, Donald Trump announced on his social network Truth Social that he had ordered the deployment of nuclear submarines closer to the shores of Russia. This happened in response to the latest post by Medvedev, the former president of the Russian Federation, on Telegram. For a better understanding of Medvedev's post, I want to clarify to our viewers that Dead Hand is the name of Russia's nuclear weapons system. Its other name is Perimeter. Here is what Medvedev wrote.
About Trump's threats to me in his personal network Truth, which he banned from operating in our country. If some words of the former Russian president cause such a nervous reaction in the entire formidable U.S. president, then Russia is right in everything and will continue to go its own way. And about the dead economy of India and Russia and entering dangerous territory, then let him remember his favorite films about the walking dead, as well as how dangerous a dead hand that does not exist in nature can be.
Medvedev could wave the nuclear stick in the face of Americans for a long time. However, sooner or later, the United States of America had to react to this threat. And so Donald Trump turned to Medvedev. Trump noted that such statements are a serious threat. And despite the fact that Medvedev added a smiley face at the end of his post, it seemed that it didn't save him.
Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
And so Trump explained his position to the American people in an interview the day before. The American president noted that Medvedev will ultimately have to answer for his words.
Well, a former president of Russia, who's now in charge of one of the most important councils, Medvedev, said some things that were very bad, talking about nuclear. And when you mention the word nuclear, I say, my eyes light up and I say, we better be careful because it's the ultimate threat. He shouldn't have said it. He's got a fresh mouth. He said things in the past too. And so we always want to be ready. And so I have sent to the region 2 nuclear submarines. I just want to make sure that his words are only words and nothing more than that.
And they're closer to Russia, I assume?
They're closer to Russia, yeah, they're closer to Russia. It's a terrible situation going on over there.
The American Institute for the Study of War analyzed this rhetoric of confrontation. Analysts noted that Medvedev's statements shouldn't be ignored as he is proclaiming what Putin can't openly say.
The Kremlin's nuclear threats and rhetorical efforts to delay peace negotiations are part of a broader cognitive campaign to undermine U.S.-led efforts to end Russia's war in Ukraine. Russian Security Council Deputy Chairperson Dmitry Medvedev responded to a statement by U.S. President Donald Trump on both his English and Russian language Telegram accounts on July 31st and threatened that Russia is doing everything right and will continue along its own path, presumably referring to the war in Ukraine and Russia's general anti-Western posturing. Medvedev also alluded to Russia's automatic or semi-automatic nuclear weapons control system, referred to as the dead hand or the perimeter, in response to Trump. The Kremlin regularly uses Medvedev to inject inflammatory rhetoric, often including nuclear blackmail, into the information space to spread fear among Western decision-makers and discourage future military aid to Ukraine. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin claimed that Russia is ready to continue negotiations with Ukraine, but that discussions about a high-level Russo-Ukrainian meeting are premature in order to downplay the Trump administration's efforts to secure negotiations. Kremlin newswire RIA Novosti published op-eds on July 30th entitled, "There is no other option. No one should remain alive in Ukraine," and noted, "Ukraine will end very soon," further showcasing the Kremlin's long-standing commitment to conquering all of Ukraine and increasingly aggressive rhetorical line in response to President Trump's efforts to compel Russia to engage constructively in the peace process. ISW continues to assess that Russia remains fully committed to conquering Ukraine and protracting the negotiation process to buy time for further battlefield gains and extract concessions from Ukraine and the West.
The head of Ukrainian intelligence, Kirill Budanov, is convinced that by 2030, Russia will go to war against NATO countries. He said this in a recent interview.
In response to your question, I can say the following. I am very familiar with the document that mentions this 1.1 trillion. In fact, it states 90 trillion Russian rubles. This is a conversion for easier understanding of what this figure represents. The number one task outlined in this systemic document is to prepare the Russian Federation for war with NATO in the year 2030. All these actions and budgets are aimed at this. The bulk of the amount is to be spent by approximately 2030, after which funding will decline.
The current decision of Trump shows that Ukraine is facing a danger that threatens the whole world. Russia will not stop with its nuclear threats, but even in the United States, there are those who actively support Putin's bloody regime. We're talking about Azealia Banks. She mocked a Ukrainian soldier who returned from Russian captivity on the internet. A man in captivity lost a lot of weight due to the torture he suffered. In her tweet, Alice wrote, "Well, something needed to stop his fat ass from eating." Another soldier responded to Alice's cynical statements. Ukrainian Marine Alexander Koryenko posted a video on his Facebook. Listen to what the Ukrainian soldier said.
My name is Alexander Koryenko. I am a Ukrainian Marine who took part in the defense of Mariupol. In the spring of 2022, I was captured, where I stayed for 3 years. The other day I saw a post by American singer Azealia Banks, who ridiculed my photos and my physical condition after captivity. I am Ukrainian, and I support freedom of speech. Each of us has the right to express our opinion, but our conscience and honor must impose certain restrictions. Azealia, I wish you that none of your loved ones try the diet that Ukrainian prisoners of war receive. Constant humiliation, beatings and constant hunger. I know what tragedy African Americans have experienced, and I have experienced firsthand how the experience of captivity breaks the human soul. The trauma of captivity is felt even by those generations who have not seen this hell. It is up to each of us what to do with this experience. Or become stronger and teach your children to fight for their future. Or will it break us and break the future of our children? Torture is a crime. There is no city in captivity in the civilized world. People are created for freedom and mutual understanding. And this is how I teach all my children. I teach you to be responsible for every word spoken. Because the word is the seed of action. And every world tragedy began with some wrong word. Glory to Ukraine.
Dear viewers, beware of Russian propaganda. Thank you for watching this video. We'll see each other again.